No one as young as Zion Williamson has ever tried to force his way out of a team. And I'm not saying he is definitely trying to demand a trade, but the amount of red flags are insane. Trade demands are not new, by the way. In 1975, Kareem forced his way out of Milwaukee to LA 1 year after making the finals. Then we saw like random superstar demands here and there, but things exploded in 2017. 3 superstars, Chris Paul, Paul George, and Kyrie Irving, forced a trade. 3 more the next year, Kawhi, Jimmy Butler, and Kristaps Porzingis. We have now seen 12 star trade demands in 5 seasons. It used to be if a player had 1 year left on his contract, the team had no choice. Trade him or lose him for nothing in free agency. But Ben Simmons changed everything. He successfully forced a trade with 4 years left on his contract. This is completely out of control, but the way things have been going, it would be dumb not to think Zion could force a trade. Obviously, we will talk about what the Pelicans could get back for Zion at the end of the video, but that is insane to even talk about. This kid just got drafted in 2019. But again, the player empowerment era is just trending in this direction, and Zion is acting weird. Everything blew up when CJ McCollum told the media he had not spoken to Zion since the trade. And I don't think people really understand how big of a deal that is. I mean, Zion's the face of the franchise, CJ is a star, and the president of the Players Association, and he had already been with them for 5 games. 5 games. No phone call or text. Then JJ Redick dropped a bomb on First Take.
This is a pattern of behavior with Zion that we are seeing again and again. And look, I was his teammate. I can describe him as a detached teammate. That is an accurate statement.
And that is coming from a guy who also went to Duke, part of the Duke Brotherhood, is repped by the same agency, and was his teammate in New Orleans. But this goes a lot deeper than just not calling CJ. When the entire team went to Nashville to train this offseason, the only guy to not show up was Zion. He was supposed to go to an NBA Finals game with Brandon Ingram and Trajan Langdon, but he ghosted him. He has actually skipped rehab workouts in New Orleans. Then he finally decided to go off by himself and train in Portland while his team is playing the season. This actually reminds me of Kawhi Leonard's behavior before he forced his way out of San Antonio. Kawhi didn't like how the Spurs medical staff dealt with his injury, so he went to rehab by himself in New York. The Spurs had no communication with him. He didn't even take any of their trainers to New York. Well, it turns out Zion didn't take any of the Pelicans people to Portland. And we all know how that ended up with Kawhi. Reports say Zion's family wants him out of New Orleans, but I can't get his stepfather's voice out of my head in his very first press conference.
Zion and I had this conversation about playing in New Orleans before the lottery. Nobody in the world knew that, but we had this conversation. I'm so thankful. I told him then that I thought the city would be a great place to go. And God worked it out.
Okay, unless his stepdad is like a really good actor, that was a legit statement. So how did things go so terribly wrong? In October 2019, Zion had surgery for a torn meniscus, which caused him to miss the first 3 months of his rookie year. When he finally debuted, Zion was amazing. 4 threes, scored 17 straight points, and then the Pelicans sat him the final 5 minutes, and they lost the game. You could see Coach Alvin Gentry, when he pulled him, explaining, "I didn't want to do this." And then Zion, visibly frustrated on the bench. They did the same thing, managing his minutes in the bubble, and his family hated it. And there are other stories about like the Pelicans front office guy David Griffin awkwardly playing the piano for Zion, or the Pelicans trading Lonzo when Zion said he loved Zoe. But I think the minutes restriction is the major issue. Some people are saying that Zion is injury prone. I think the family blames the team for that image. They think if the Pelicans didn't treat their son like glass, then that perception wouldn't be out there. And what the team thinks they're doing is trying to protect Zion. I mean, they lie to the media about his injuries for him. They fired Van Gundy after 1 season because Zion and his teammates didn't like him. What they should do is have a tough conversation with Zion about staying in shape, but that's not going to happen because they're scared. All Zion needs to do is just clear the air. He needs to go on IG Live or go on like one show and just explain how he is really feeling so people will stop speculating whether he wants out or not. But it looks like he's done with this team. Some Pelicans fans are saying that is all false. He does not want to trade. Okay, then why is he acting like this? The only options are 1, he's just a naturally introverted person. 2, he's too busy rehabbing and working out. Or 3, he wants a trade. Well, the first 2 reasons are wrong. He was one of the most outgoing players when he was at Duke and obviously loved his teammates. And you don't go like 5 games without calling CJ McCollum. I don't care how busy you are. So assuming he does want out and there are so many red flags, what happens next? I will not be surprised if we get a Woj bomb this summer saying Zion Williamson has been traded to another team. So before we get into these trades, let's talk about if the Pels would even do this. I mean, David Griffin does not want to be the guy who dealt both Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson. That would ruin his legacy. But what does Zion's contract look like? Because that's where all the leverage comes in. Well, the Pels locked him in through next year, but after that, it gets cloudy. Instead of signing a max extension, Zion could take a 1-year qualifying offer. That would make him an unrestricted free agent in 2 years. Zion would miss out on a ton of money, yes, but the Pelicans would be forced to trade him. So basically, like James Harden or Kyrie Irving, Zion is under team control for 2 more years. Assuming he is healthy, and that's a big assumption, I think New Orleans would get back the biggest trade in NBA history. I think the list of targets include Bradley Beal, Jaylen Brown, Donovan Mitchell, Ben Simmons, RJ Barrett, James Wiseman, Jamal Murray, Karl Anthony Towns, DeJounte Murray, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I know that list is ridiculous, but just like think of every star that's not considered untouchable. Like Kevin Durant, Giannis, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, Ja Morant, Jason Tatum, Cade Cunningham, LeBron, Kawhi, and Luka. I think all those guys are truly untouchable. Beyond that, it's fair game. Before this year, I would have thought Zion forcing a trade was impossible. But after Ben Simmons got his wish with 4 years left, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. A guy I put on that trade target list for the Pels was James Wiseman. He could be untouchable in the future if he helps lead the Warriors to a championship this year. And we just got a huge rumor about when he's going to come back in time for the Warriors playoff run. I made a whole video about it. Check it out.